So today we're going to take a look at what happened to marriage via home math. Like I said, I've been following this guy on TikTok for a while now. He's blew up. We're about the same. We're about 350 plus thousand followers. He blew up right along me and everything. And his YouTube channel is doing really well, actually. Thank you for the gifts on TikTok. So let's take a look at what happened to marriage. And one thing that's unique about his content is he used these illustrations to break things down. Pretty cool. Let's take a look at it.
I have a question for the men. Do you guys still want to get married?
I think what you're asking is, do you want to be married? And I think that a lot of men would say, yes, I do want a partner to spend my life with. But when you say, do you want to get married? I'm not sure if you're keeping in mind all these extra steps that come before and the possible ones after. Here's a guy living in a cardboard box with his ex-wife in his house with other men.
Yo, that's crazy. That's the reality of it. You get divorced, she takes all your shit, and then she's off doing her thing while you're struggling to keep your head above water, and she's getting dicked down by all these other guys that in your old house.
To keep in mind that happens with roughly 1/3 of new marriages, and that's only for the men who have the opportunity to get married, which is contingent upon a bunch of steps that have changed quite a bit over the years. So in order to get married, you have to date, and in order to date, you have to work and make money, and in order—
Yo, the fact that he got work, DEI. Cancel culture, economy, inflation.
To work and make money, you have to go to school, and men have been facing a lot of new difficulties in all of these areas over the last few decades. So, do I want to have a partner? Yes. But do I want to go through all of this again? Not right now. So you want to get married, you have to date, you want to date, you have to work, you want to work, you have to go to school. This is where a lot of male problems begin. I'm not saying that schoolgirls have it easy, but the last few decades, schoolboys have been treated like they are defective. In 3rd grade, I used to finish my work before the other kids, and I would get up and move around, and they told me that was not okay, so they medicated me. When I got a little older, the other boys would start fights, and I went to the authorities to do the right thing, and they punished both of us. So then I took matters into my own hands, and they punished just me because of these policies. They don't let boys just fight it out anymore. Those types of policies are not setting young boys up for success. They punish the way that we natively look at the world. It definitely messed me up a little, and that was 30 years ago, and I have no idea what's going on now.
Yo, it's a actually valid point. There's a lot of things that are set up now for young boys and young men that try to erase the way in which we resolve conflicts. And the reality is, as a man, or, part of being a man and whatever, it's in our nature when push comes to shove, got to put up them paws. You know what I'm saying? You got to swing it out. You know what I'm saying? I would much rather people swing it out. You live to fight another day versus run into weapons and stuff like that. Sometimes you just got to take a good old ass whooping, and sometimes you got to dish one out. And we're in a culture now where there's too much of of a culture of matriarchy, believe it or not, that is trying to subdue that and try to say, well, men, you shouldn't fight it out. And they're trying to curtail how men problem solve and conflict resolve,
When we get older and go to college, there are all kinds of things in place to help girls that are not available for boys, and they say that it's there to correct problems, but I don't think those problems exist anymore. So as we are accumulating what we need to succeed in life, boys are getting less of a head start than they used to, which is, I think, one of the contributing reasons for why they say men have Peter Pan syndrome and they never grow up. I think it starts here. When we get into the workplace, there are similar programs that benefit women and not men. And that's an issue because women want to make equal money to men, but then they also want men to make more and support them, and you can't have both. Additionally, the culture has become very inhospitable towards men, and again, the way that men communicate and behave. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the economy is getting pretty bad, and even though that affects everybody, men are the ones who are expected to pay, so
hits us the most.
Us at an increasing...
This actually is what curtails men from dating, because Majority of men know if you're gonna date, you gotta flip the bill. Now, one area that I think a lot of women don't realize is how expensive dating is, because by and large, women don't pay for shit on dates. I'm not saying it's bad, it's just how it is, right? Like, you don't pay for shit. Like, you're going out on a date, by and large, you're gonna be provided the date. You're not gonna have to do much, show up for the most part, right? But if you like here, let's take a look at it right now, right? Let's look, it's real simple. Average cost of a date in 2023. Let's see what the average cost of a date is. Oops. Okay. $159. Okay. $159. Follow me on here. Okay. Follow me. Let's do this now. We got that later. Okay. So $153. Let's say as a man, you know what? I lined up 3 dates for the weekend. Friday night date, Saturday and a Sunday brunch. I got 3 dates. I just spent $500 on one weekend alone. If I'm trying to date every weekend, I'm spending damn near 2 bands a month to date. Yeah, you realize how this adds up very quickly for a man. And when we go back into talking about how the economy is hitting right now, a lot of men aren't dating because financially it doesn't make sense. Simply put it, like, just a regular date, going on one date is almost $200. And when guys are hurting because of the economy and all that stuff, and then when you look at how women are actually doing better, a lot better, making good money, then it means a guy has to have more than what the woman has, because most times they're not going to want a guy that's making less than them. The math is just the math, you know what I'm saying? And this is what people don't talk about when it comes to dating. A woman can go out 4 or 5 dates in a week and it costs her $0, bro. $0. Maybe some costs that are associated with getting her hair done, but that's stuff she's going to do anyway. Hair, nails, right? Whatever the case may be. For a man, it's significantly an investment. And this is why men are very much skittish and have a problem when you see these women in some of these dating videos talk about, I need a $500 first date. Okay, so now let's play the $500 date play. $500 times 3 dates. We already know $1,500 in one weekend. Going out all 4 weekends, $6,000, bro. $6,000 to go on dates. And mind you, this doesn't guarantee that you're getting laid on any of these. Doesn't guarantee that it's going to go anywhere. You're probably going to have some one-offs. You're going to have some abysmal dates. $6,000. If we run it by the $500, you know, he got to pay $500 for a date. What man, even as a man of means, I would never want to do that. It's a simple cost benefit equation. Simple economics, right? It doesn't make sense to make that kind of an investment in something that I have no clue is going to actually go anywhere. You know what I mean?
Disadvantage comparative to women as we age. Then when we get out into the dating world, if you don't have any money, that's going to be a problem. If you can't compete on the dating apps, which most men cannot, that's going to be a problem. If you're not okay with her having an OnlyFans or an Instagram or whatever, it's going to take some women off the table because they have so much attention. So a lot of men are playing catch up at this point in life when that didn't used to be the case. So our parents and grandparents did not have any of these problems. They just sort of grew up, got jobs, and married whoever was nearby. Have you ever thought of it like, would your mother have married your father if she had Tinder? Would she?
That's a great question. I bet you a lot of us would not have the same parents that we have today if they were playing by today's rules. Because for them, it was very much a very simple situation where they dated who they had access to in their immediate area. Now, because everyone can date, I can go on an app, you can go on an app and go and plug in London, or I can plug in Cali. I can plug in whatever place in the world and go look at the options available to me in that part of the world and then go after it. That was not the situation for our parents and grandparents, where they found love from whoever was in their block, their neighborhood, maybe their city, maybe regulated to a certain radius within their city. That was it. They weren't. It wasn't like you was finding love in you were in New York and you found the love in L.A. and you had this amazing story. No, if you're in New York and Bronx, your wife or your husband was probably from the Bronx. Y'all probably like 3 blocks away from each other growing up. You know, that's it. But because we have a current dating market where there's always this belief you have more options. There's always the potential that someone out there is better, and you keep swiping away great options and overlooking really solid choices because you always think, I just think there's still someone out there better. No one's ever content.
Have chosen him. There's stuff going on in these phases of life for us that would have been unheard of even 1 generation ago. I once had a job where I worked with a girl. We had the same job. I had more experience. We had layoffs, and later she matched with me on Bumble and came to hook up. And I said, would you like to continue doing this? And she told me that I didn't have my life together enough. We were living in the same place, in the same job market, and we came from the same job, and I had more experience. And she was getting $120K a year to do some like women's leadership job or something, and I was driving for Uber. So, you know, I think a lot of people are really underestimating how much easier this makes things. So then if you can actually get to this point, you as a man, you have to take everything that you've managed to put together over the course of your life and put it all on the table for someone who is probably not doing the same. Even though women are not having a hard time in the workplace, men are still generally expected to provide, while women generally keep more of their money for themselves. We've all heard, my money is my money, his money is my money. I found this great little video about that.
But I just have a quick question. My husband won't see all of my accounts, right? I have like 8 different bank accounts, but my husband only knows about 2 of them. I've just been secretly saving for years in case I ever need to. Oh, no, say no more. I don't need to see those statements, so as far as I'm concerned, they don't exist.
Yeah, so I don't love the idea that my wife might be hiding money. Of course, I'm not allowed to do that. All of my money has to be on the table, and there's about a 1/3 chance that you're going to be taking it to party with other dudes in the house that I bought for you. Divorce laws have changed too. You used to need a really good reason to get divorced, but now it can happen just because someone is not happy.
I think that's total bullshit too. There should be a justification for the termination other than I'm just not happy, or like this no fault divorce thing is such a sham. It's such a sham. You know what I mean? There should be was he physical with you? Absolutely get out. Not acceptable, right? We know this. But if he didn't cheat on you, if you just are going through a tough patch where you kind of lost your way, you don't have the spice anymore, fucking figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like make the necessary, go into therapy, do the things you need to do to salvage it. Just being like, nah, I give up, I'm out. It's such a crazy concept. Who would want to enter into that? I mean, honestly, who would want to enter into a situation where we're getting into a legal contract? I'm on the hook for it. And at any given time, you could just bounce just because you want to. That's not like anybody with fucking bare minimum business understanding and skills would never enter into a business contract with that kind of a clause ever. There's no protection for you. You are on the hook 100%, and they can just up and leave whenever they want for no valid, truly valid reason. If we're talking about no fault specifically. Outside of that, infidelity, sure, being violent, absolutely. Split, take them for what they got, because they were a shitty person. But when it's no default, you got bored of them, you want something new and fresh, you want some young dick, that shit's crazy. It's crazy.
Write songs about it. Check this out. I have to mute it for copyright. I'll read it to you.
Kula, what's up, man?
Might be the only guy who didn't send me hearted eyes in reply to my latest story.
Yeah, I'm pretty shadow banned on TikTok, bro, to be honest with you. That's why.
We work well on paper. We don't argue. We don't fight. But lighting scented candles just won't relight up our fire. And right there she goes, ah. It ain't that bad. It's just not what I wanted. Don't want to live this life half-hearted. Hang on, here it comes. I want fireworks and flames. Don't want safe, tame, practical. That ain't enough. That ain't love. This is the squircle of unconsciousness. It represents how people don't know how relationships work, and so they think the relationship is going to go like this, and then it turns a corner. I think she's at the dissatisfied part. You can't have everything is exciting all the time. Good choices are boring. No relationships are going to be fun the whole time. They're all going to have spots where there's no fire. But
it's ebbs and flows, man. There's gonna be points where it's hot and heavy and all that stuff, and then the longer you're in it, you know, you get into the mundaneness of life or mundaneness of everyday, you know, living. But that's where you got to find yourselves, man. That's the part where you have to put the effort into make it exciting again, you know, make the effort to rekindle the passion that you once had. And especially once you have kids, it becomes incredibly hard. But you have to make time for each other. It's easy to fall into a situation of what started as my lover, now becomes that's mom, or that's dad, and you lose the spice that you once had. So you got to make the effort to not lose that.
Don't want safe, tame, practical. That ain't enough. That's not even love. Look how passionate she is about dumping her husband. That's real, I can spot a faker. And she even sings about other men giving her googly eyes on her Instagram stories. So this girl is what I would call an excitement chaser. She starts out her new relationships excited, and over time gets bored when they're not chaotic, and then by the time we notice she's bored, she's already got a new guy lined up, and this has pretty nasty effects on us. So your relationship satisfaction is going to change over time, but your stability is not supposed to. That's what marriage is. That's what it's for. Even when you start feeling like things are not as fun, you have to remember that commitments are what gets you through the swings. I actually have a little theory that this takes about a year. Obviously, we get up and go to sleep with the sun, and women have changes in their hormones and emotions with the moon, and I think that a year is the amount of time that it takes to find somebody and have that strong emotional connection, get pregnant, and have a child. It's about 1 year altogether. And this girl is making a spiritual experience out of a biological process, and she's allowed to end the marriage over.
Clayton, thank you, bro.
So it's not that I don't want a partner, it's just that
Back
a lot
this
of
up.
us don't have what we need to build a partnership, and even if we get it, it could fall apart immediately. She could squircle herself into believing it's not love and have a phone in her pocket with 1,400 horny guys on it, and then I end up here. So what you've done by fighting for equality is you've basically said, hey, you want to play a game of chess? I get all queens, though. Hey, where are you going?
Do you guys still want to get married? Like, is that still a thing?
I hope this all made it clear why it's less of a thing.
Hey, a great video from Whole Math, man. Really encourage y'all to check him out. He breaks things down. Very unique with the illustrations and stuff like that, but it's really all on point, man. Check him out on YouTube at Whole Math. Solid video. I think everything said here definitely explains the conundrum men are faced with marriage these days. You know, it is not a safe bet, to be quite honest. And it's a shame you have to say that. You know, I would never marry. I've never been married. I've only been engaged, you know, and I was like 20, 21, 20 years old. And I was either 20 or 21 at the time. But nope. Like it just doesn't make sense. And hopefully more people will realize like what it all takes for a man to even get to that point, only for a third of them to end up like this, right? You know, trying to scrape by while you're paying alimony, child support. She took the house and everything, you know, half of what you had, and you're trying to figure things out. Or the other option, if you're lucky, is you grow old and you die together. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's probably doesn't even sound all that great, but that is the better option, right? So there's that.